Hey, welcome back to my Wanderlust Forrest Fenn's Gold videos. So I kind of want to continue or do a follow-up to the video blog I did before yesterday in regards to the topic was erosion in water, and I just wanted to follow up with the water thing. It continues to have in my mind even my picture that I have here, I have a little river. I envision something like this. That we have this mountain range, and I see this valley with a river and trees, and maybe somewhere hidden are is the chest. So yeah, water is constantly in there in my mind when I think about the poem. But then when you move away from rivers and streams, you start to get into the mountains. And when you start getting into the mountains, which is another definite part of solves that people have, is definitely because near the end of the poem, Forrest Fenn says, in the wood. And in a lot of his storytelling, he talks about his adventures in the forests, in the trees, cutting down trees, logging. I mean, this is a really extreme example of a landslide in the forest. And my point is, if he hit it somewhere, this happens not all the time, and this is a very extreme example of a landslide in a mountain range. I have a bunch of other pictures I wanted to kind of show. Here's going back to erosion. I mean, here's erosion in the plains. Here's some more, another example of pretty extreme erosion. These are kind of extreme examples. Here's just signs of erosion of the kind of rock that you can see it's rained out and this rock is crumbling, probably because it's sandstone. This is a real famous landslide. It was Los Oso. I know it's not in the Rocky Mountains, it's Washington State, but I mean, this was a tremendous landslide and pushed the material away from the mountain. And then you could see signs of erosion, in nature everywhere. You could see the wind erosion, and also this is caused by water. And here's more land erosion. Oh, this was a good one. Is that I think this, if I'm not mistaken, this is somewhere out in Wyoming, and you can see this road, and there's been some kind of heavy rainfall, and it's washed out the almost the entire road, or starting to wash away the road. And yeah, I wanted to get some ones of forests where you see erosion, and you just see how much debris these rivers can bring down, just logs and branches and rocks, and it's pretty amazing what moving water can do. This is out, I believe this might be Utah, and I think western Colorado shares a border with Utah, but this is what I saw some of this out in western Colorado. There's another example, more erosion. Here's kind of more what I was thinking about this shot of, a hillside that's come down, and I thought this one was funny. So yeah, the treasure chest, is hidden somewhere out in the Rocky Mountains in Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, and New Mexico. And I sort of wanted to revisit a couple of thoughts I had, but one of my points about erosion and what I was talking about in the other video also with erosion is that, and it's kind of at the top of my thought, is that when I start thinking about my solve, and I also, I think the point of my videos also is, well, my main topic of my videos is Wanderlust, which is a need to get out and move around and see the world, but and also in relationship to Forrest Fenn, because you got to get out and do these solves to find the thing, the chest, which is the end goal, or kind of the goal of the thrill of the chase. So these are some of my photos I took on a trip last year, and it just occurred to me that when I started seeing this, these all these logs and debris and these huge boulders and kind of the complexity of how jumbled everything is. I think there's another photo here. Here was this is off of this is in Colorado, and this is not more than like a 15-minute hike. Not a very difficult hike either, off of a main road in a parking lot, and you can see the erosion right here on this hill that's come down. I think I have a few more. I mean, this, yes, this is a human trail, but it just occurred to me that, yeah, erosion is a huge force in nature. And when you start going out into nature, you see the complexity of that nature. And I'm kind of melding this into that. And I think that's another thing, too, that I'm going to do another video on. And I'm kind of trying to narrow down the topic of complexity of nature, especially in the Rocky Mountains, and then a subtopic underneath of that would be this erosional force. And when you go out in nature, you see it everywhere. And so that's what I'm beating around the bush to get to the point of is, and somebody made a comment about that. I said I hope Forrest Fenn did his homework in regards to where he hit the chest. And yeah, if he put it somewhere where there's I agree with another Reddit thread that I was reading earlier that said something about vertical forces. And it turns out the Rocky Mountains are rocky. I think that was a famous joke from the movie Dumb and Dumber. Was boy, those Rocky Mountains, but there's a lot of vertical in the Rocky Mountains when you get out there, and there's a lot of gravitational forces. There's a lot of stuff heading downhill, and this could be a problem. Let's see what other video picture. Oh yeah, this was a falls I stopped at, and you could just see all these trees and debris. I would not be surprised, if you come back to this spot in 2019. I mean, it's going to look similar, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe a couple of these trees have fallen over. Things may have changed. Some things could be the same. And the thing that's unbelievable is this spot right here. I mean, you could come to this spot half a dozen times and spend hours hiking around just in this area. And if the chest is hidden here, you could miss it. So I guess I just wanted to wrap up the whole erosion thing idea. And I also think that part of my videos too, and I think I saw another well-known Forrest Fenn hunter or searcher who has a popular video blog, and I agree too. Is you ask yourself, well, why do you make these videos? It's because want to share what I know, and maybe somebody will figure it out, or provide some information to another searcher. I also think that a lot of searchers, especially people who have been at it for a while, that I think we definitely play off of each other, and that by posting videos, I wouldn't be surprised if other searchers watch my videos and I watch their videos, and you definitely start getting. I think it's helpful to share what you're thinking and what you know in this format, because it gives that other person maybe an idea that you may not had before. And I definitely, searchers are paranoid, that's for sure, about sharing locations or ideas. But after being out in places like this is also in Colorado. You know, you start climbing up into places like this, and I hate to say it, but I mean, there's a million different little crevices and rock formations and little places in between where the treasure box could be hidden. And then, as usual, I have a hard time sometimes getting to the point, which is that erosion can be a problem. And if it's in your solve, another thing too is if you do get out and get boots on the ground, and you do get into the Rockies and you drive out to these places, be if you remember my video or remember this, then it'll have worked. But be aware of these forces of erosion, and if you think about it, when you go out in the Rocky Mountains, whether it's low desert, high desert, whether it's a heavily forested area, whether you're above the snow line, you're gonna see the erosional forces everywhere. And I tell you something, if you see erosional things have happened, like rock slides and water, signs of water, when you're there in June or July, and it's dry now, but you could see these rocks and wood and everything in the stream bed, then that means there was a lot of water running through there at some point, and that may not be the best area. And I think my final point, I'm trying to keep my videos shorter, is that's what I've really tried to think that sticks in my mind when it comes to my solves, because I have done this too, where I've gone out and had a solve and went out to a location and saw all these signs of erosion and nature pushing stuff around, and realized there's no way that this box could be here. And so I think that's could be an issue for anybody. And when you think about your solve, and I think that is an important point, is that I think that it's some place of permanence. He finally gets to the point. Is I really do. I think it's the place is some place that does not has not changed in a long time, hasn't changed in a long time, and won't change for a long time. And I think Fenn definitely did do his homework. He did think really carefully about where he was going to put this box, and he thought long term, because he even says that it's a place that could be 100 years or more before it's found. And I don't think it's just because I think it's hard, but I think it's also someplace where there's just a stasis, and it doesn't get a lot of change from all these crazy forces of nature: wind, snow, water, running water, falling rocks, slides, all those kind of things. And so, yeah, just to say it again and again, is that if there's heavy erosional forces in your solver, when you get there and you see landslides, or if you're at the bottom of a river valley and you look up and there's all these rocks that are tumbling down or have tumbled down or could, I think I would think twice about it, because I don't think it's there. And you can discount a lot of places and save yourself a lot of trouble by maybe not going to those places. But at the same time, I show the picture of this waterfall, and it has a lot of erosional forces. And I guess I just did say don't go to those places, but I negate that is, yeah, go to those places, but because I could be wrong. I mean, even with all that erosional stuff, I mean, you can go up the hill here to the right, and there is kind of a meadow over here, like on this example. I mean, if you go up this trail, you can go off this trail and up into the hill here, and there's a lot of heavy logs and stuff falling. And I didn't go off trail, so good luck. And I hope you enjoy my videos. So please try and like my video and subscribe, because I'm going to try and cut as many more as these and keep cutting into more and more topics. So thanks for watching.
Doesn't even know that I'm there. No, she doesn't even know that I'm